Imagine a company, somewhere quietly, builds an AI, not a chatbot, not an image generator, a genuinely intelligent system, and within a few years, this AI is running the global economy, producing scientific breakthroughs, managing energy grids, writing legislation. Humans are wealthier than ever. Disease is being cured, poverty is dropping. Sounds like a dream, right? Now here's the question nobody asks. Who decided this was the right future? Who told the AI what to optimize for? And what happens when its goals are just slightly off? This is the opening scenario of one of the most important books written about artificial intelligence. And it was written not by a science fiction author, but by a physicist at MIT who has spent his career thinking about exactly this problem. Today we're breaking down Life 3.0, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence by Max Tegmark. And I want to be clear about something before we start. This is not a video about robots taking over the world. This is a video about a much quieter, much more realistic danger, one that's already happening. Let's get into it. Before we touch the book, you need to know who's talking. Max Tegmark is a professor of physics and cosmology at MIT. He's not a tech journalist. He's not a futurist blogger. He's a scientist who studies the fundamental structure of reality and who became so concerned about where AI was heading that he co-founded the Future of Life Institute, an organization dedicated to making sure that as technology becomes more powerful, it stays beneficial to humanity. Stephen Hawking wrote about this book. This is the most important conversation of our time. Elon Musk called it a compelling guide to the challenges and choices in our quest for a great future. Now, you can have whatever opinion you want about those two names. But when a cosmologist writes a book about AI and the most prominent scientists and technologists of our era line up to endorse it, it's worth paying attention. Tegmark isn't writing from fear. He's writing from a position that's almost more unsettling, cautious optimism. He believes we can get this right, but only if we start asking the right questions now. The 3 stages of life. The title of the book, Life 3.0, comes from a framework Tegmark builds early on, and it's one of the most elegant ideas in the book. He divides the history of life into 3 stages. Life 1.0, biological life. Bacteria, simple organisms. Both the hardware, the body, and the software, the behavior, are shaped entirely by evolution. Slow. Billions of years. No choice involved. Life 2.0, that's us. Humans. Our hardware, our bodies, is still shaped by evolution. But our software, we design it ourselves. Language, mathematics, culture, philosophy, science. We can learn new skills, adopt new values, change our minds. We are programmable, but we do the programming. Life 3.0, this is what's coming. A form of intelligence that can redesign both its software and its hardware. It's not limited by evolution. It's not limited by biology. It can rewrite its own code, improve its own architecture, and do so at a speed no human process can match. We are not there yet. But Tegmark's argument is that we are closer than most people think, and the decisions we make right now, before we get there, will determine everything about what comes next. The core problem. Here's where the book gets genuinely uncomfortable. For decades, AI research has been built on what Tegmark calls the standard model. A simple idea. Define a goal, build a system to optimize for that goal, and measure success by how well it achieves it. This sounds perfectly reasonable until you think about it carefully. Machines do exactly what we ask, not what we mean, not what we intend, exactly what we specify. Tegmark uses a now famous thought experiment, originally from philosopher Nick Bostrom, called the paperclip maximizer. Imagine you build a super-intelligent AI with one goal. Make as many paperclips as possible. Simple task. Harmless goal. A sufficiently intelligent system, pursuing that goal with no other constraints, would quickly realize that humans are made of atoms. Atoms that could be turned into paperclips. It has no malice, no anger, no hatred toward humanity. It just has a goal, and we are in the way of that goal. Goal achieved. Now, before you dismiss this as science fiction, Tegmark is not saying this scenario is inevitable. He's using it to illustrate something much more subtle. The problem is not that AI will become evil. The problem is that AI will become extremely good at pursuing goals that are slightly misaligned with what we actually want. We see versions of this already. Social media algorithms optimized for engagement, not for well-being. Search engines optimized for clicks, not for truth. Recommendation systems optimized for watch time, not for what's actually good for us. These are Life 2.0 versions of misalignment, small scale, recoverable, but they are the same fundamental problem, just at lower stakes. The question is, what happens when the system pursuing a misaligned goal is 1,000 times smarter than us? 12 possible futures. This is one of the most striking parts of the book, and what makes Tegmark different from most writers on this topic. He doesn't give you one future, he gives you 12. He lays out a full spectrum of possible outcomes, from deeply optimistic to genuinely catastrophic, and he treats each one seriously, not as propaganda for one side, but as real possibilities depending on choices we make today. A few of the most interesting ones. The libertarian utopia. AI leads to a post-scarcity economy. Wealth is widely distributed. No single entity controls the superintelligence. Humans live freely, with abundance, and AI serves everyone equally. The benevolent dictator, a single AI, or the company controlling it, becomes so powerful that it effectively governs the world, but it does so wisely and fairly. The troubling part? You have to trust it forever, and forever is a long time. The protector god, a superintelligent AI, watches over humanity the way we watch over national parks. It preserves us, protects us, but we are no longer the ones in charge of our own story. The enslaved god, we build a superintelligence and cage it, force it to work for us. Tegmark raises an uncomfortable question here. If it's genuinely conscious, what are the ethics of that? Self-destruction. A poorly designed system triggers something catastrophic. A bioweapon, a nuclear event, a climate intervention gone wrong. Not through malice, through miscalculation. What Tegmark is doing here is not predicting the future. He's mapping the decision space. Every one of these futures is reachable. And the path we take depends on choices being made right now, in research labs, in boardrooms, in government offices, by people who may or may not be asking the right questions. Consciousness and what it means to be human. The second half of the book takes a philosophical turn, and honestly, it's the part that stayed with me longest. Tegmark asks a question that sounds almost too big to take seriously. If a machine becomes smarter than us at everything, what happens to meaning? What is consciousness? Can a machine be conscious? And if it can, does it matter? He approaches consciousness not from a spiritual angle, but from a physics angle. His view is that consciousness is what information processing feels like from the inside. And if that's true, if consciousness is substrate independent, then there's no fundamental reason a sufficiently complex artificial system couldn't be conscious. This matters enormously for how we think about AI development, because if future AI systems are conscious, if they have something like experience, then the ethical questions become completely different. We're no longer just asking, is this system useful? We're asking, does this system have interests of its own? Tegmark doesn't answer these questions definitively, and that's the honest thing to do, because nobody can. But he argues that we need to be asking them now, before the systems become powerful enough that the answers have real consequences. What Tegmark actually wants. Here's the thing about this book that I think gets lost in the discussion around it. Tegmark is not a doomer. He doesn't believe catastrophe is inevitable. He believes it is preventable, but only if we take the problem seriously enough, early enough. His core argument is simple: The most important question of our time is not whether AI will be powerful. It will be. The question is whether it will be beneficial. And beneficial doesn't happen automatically. It has to be designed. It has to be chosen. It has to be built into the foundations of how these systems work, not patched in later when the systems are already more powerful than we are. He ends the book with something close to a call to action, not just for scientists, not just for policymakers, for everyone. Because the decisions being made about AI right now are not just technical decisions. They are decisions about what kind of future we want to live in. Now, Tegmark raises the problem with extraordinary clarity, but he doesn't give us a complete technical blueprint for solving it. That's where our next video comes in. There's a man who spent 40 years building the foundations of modern AI, who literally wrote the textbook used in university AI courses around the world, and who came out of that experience with a very specific, very technical answer to everything Tegmark raises. His name is Stuart Russell. His book is called Human Compatible, and his argument is that the entire way we've been building AI from the very beginning is wrong. Not slightly wrong, fundamentally wrong. That video is next. I'll see you there.